This is The Secret Lies Within, and I'm John Trevelyan. For this show, we joined the Talliston Poetry Circle, which is a group of writers and readers of poetry that launched in September 2013. The Poetry Circle is a challenging and supportive group for all levels of talent and experience. Offering monthly meetings in a unique environment, its aim is to inspire poets to create their best, most engaging new work and to share their poems at a candlelit open mic evening. The following are a selection of poems read at the Talliston Poetry Circle in November of this year. Well, hello and welcome to Talliston for another poetry evening here. I was reading about the Irish bards and scholars and how they spoke in a secret language of poets called something unpronounceable, but I had it translated. It's Iarv Éala, which means dark speech, or Dordach, which means darkness. And it was a complex speech pattern, signs, gestures and inscriptions, like a primal pre-Celtic language of symbolism that also included such elements as the flight of birds and movement of nature. But it was also used as their own sort of language. And I like this idea of sort of like a dark speech or something that only poets speak. And I wanted to explore that. And then I came across a very, very small piece of writing from the original Peter Pan, before it became Peter Pan, in The Little White Bird. And there was something very, very akin to the first bit of this poem. And I loved the symbology of a person's mind being an island, and how we communicate with that person and how we reach that person by sailing out to them, to their mind. So those two things are what was in my mind when I wrote this. It's called Dark Speech. Have you ever seen a map of a person's mind? It always comes out as an island, a private place in a private sea where we run and sail and fly on the greatest of all adventures. And here somehow I met you, the beautiful bird with the wounded wing. Where did you come from, my beautiful bird with the wounded wing? Maybe if you let me, I can make you smile again. Maybe if I let you, you will do the exact same thing for me. Where are you going with the sky so bright today, to run or sail or fly? And though I can never leave my island den, what bliss in your release to try. And if I'm lucky, my beautiful bird, you'll take me with you when you go, and I can watch you run or sail or fly, for good, for bad, forever. Yet for now, as my own two wings I break, this is all just a chance I'm going to take, 'cause if I don't, I will never, never know if you'll take me with you when you go. Though I may never try these perfect things, I know watching you is enough to know what it's like to have Nikes or mainsail, to know what it's like to have wings. And right now it's a chance I am going to take as you run and sail and fly. 'Cause if I don't, I'll never know if when you leave me, then will I.
My name is Fiona Fraser-Thompson. I've been writing poetry probably since I was about 11. I've been published extensively throughout my life. I have several medals from the Poetry Society of Great Britain for public poetry speaking, so I hope perhaps this small poem will come across as well as I hope it will. Most of my poetry is romantic poetry and is idealistic. I specialise in sonnets probably more than anything else, and I think I have something approaching about 300 sonnets alone, and this one is Sonnet 30. Slowly, without a single sound, I turn and hide me to the ground. I give you freedom, give you light, and bind me to eternal night. I give you love to take away. I send you to her arms to stay. I loose the chains that once you tied, and show a face where tears have dried. I'll no more hold you close to me. Because I love, I'll set you free. Because I love you, I can leave and never let you see I grieve. Slowly, when you come to me, I'll turn away. I'll set you free.
Right, my name's Simon Banks. I've been writing poetry again for a few years. I wrote, like a lot of people do, in my teens and university years and gave it up, and then started again after spending a night on Cadair Idris, which any Welsh people will know the significance of. This is a short poem called Digging Down. Now, can I ask, are there any Neanderthals in the audience? Yeah, right. Actually, you're all Neanderthals, so am I. One of the great questions about Neanderthals has been answered by DNA analysis. Homo sapiens and Homo neanderthalis did interbreed, but very early after the Homo sapiens came out of Africa, with the result that we've all got between 2 and 5% Neanderthal genes. All of us except pure-bred Africans, which, given the kind of stereotypes people had about these primitive cavemen, and also given the racist stereotypes that existed about Africans, I think is quite funny. Yes. But I've been fascinated by the question of what happened when these two very similar species met for a long time. And this was written before we knew they actually did interbreed, but they interbred only for a short time, very early on. And then it is quite possible that competition or even the killing of one by the other led to the extinction of the Neanderthals. It's called Digging Down. I have found an old guilt by scrabbling in the dirt with calloused hands, brushing away the low-lying deposits, stories of murderous giant and cackling troll. Caressing away the grime, I find the skull. It grins at me as if to say, what I lost, you lost, my killer friend. There's another idea there which I'm fascinated by, which is the idea that some of the myths and folk stories about human-like creatures, giants, gnomes and all the rest of it, have partly come from memories of early other humanoids. And if you look at, for example, trolls, then the fit with how our ancestors would have seen Neanderthals is quite close. So that's why I refer to murderous giant and cackling troll.
Yeah. I think that I've always written journals when I've gone away, because I think that the one thing about that we're quite lucky as writers is the fact that for people who go away on their holidays and just take photographs, all that happens is over time we just see ourselves getting older. But when you write journals, you actually see yourself getting wiser. You actually see yourself observing cultures in different ways. I find poems really good when I go away for a shorter amount of time to capture certain feelings and certain moods when I don't write a journal. This was a trip to the Lake District. There were 3 days, and each day has a part to the poem. I wanted to write something quite folktale-esque, but I also wanted to include every single thing that had happened in that weekend. It's called The Beauty of Always, and the reason it's called that is because the idea of always rather than forever being something that's quite beautiful. And when you do have one of those, it's a beautiful August weekend, you never want it to end, and that's trying to capture this. The other thing I'll say about this, just very quickly, is the first verse and the last verse are complete reverses of each other. So when I start reading, I completely set that backwards at the end of the poem. So I'll just read it line by line backwards. And so the idea of the poem is that you spiral into it and then you spiral out of it. Okay, so this is the beauty of always. This is no relationship, it is so much more than that. For this is no weekend away, but magnificence, wrapped in excellence, wrapped in timeless nothing upon nothing, upon the endless open lane of our rolling counterpane, of the tunnel puddled rain, of the leaded window pane, of the way we laugh again, of the northern lights we find and track, and laugh at the stars as they fall, and we fall. And we fall. And here we know, we experience here the beauty of always in a time without fear, in a song-drenched land and a sigh-strewn night, and a cry as loud as the loudest thunder of perfect wrought delight. And yes, we fall, first one, then both, then all, and the world is dragged in too, for the world is me and you and me, and me and you. And us. From Skirton Bridge to Kirkdale's Ridge, from River Loon to Honeymoon, from Leven's Ale to Fairy Tale, Ullswater sails and Grisdale trails, the Tarn, the Fell, the Midnight Bell, the Howtown Break, teas, cream and cake, the Lady of the Crystal Lake, the lathes, the braves, the heights and sights, the doles have eyes at breakfast bright. From wilderness trek to hidden gift, a day is not a day when you are in it. By highway north, by fading light, by bright full moon, by blackened night, by labyrinth's tail, by scar, by dale, by golden goose, by death's dark noose, by trail of stone, by hearth, by home, in forest gloam, two walk alone. By shoe, by pitch, by prince, by witch, by cudgel and mule and sausage and stool, by sun and moon and icy wind. A play is not a play when you are in it. In chapels fine Evangeline, in book of guests, our words lie blessed. Over hot coffee talk blasphemy, there's heaven in hells for ne'er-do-wells. Our laughter bad, the sudden glad, and times of mad we've seldom had. In Crows we eat, then street by street, cross Lancaster east to west to south, by noon and eve, and dull dusk's shawl. A road is not a road with you upon it. A day is not a day, a play is not a play, a road is not a road, but so much more. A day is a sword that sings, a play is a dance of rings, a road is a quest for things, of things we've lost, like boys, or hid away, like toys, things we lose and hide and store, dredge from deeps we've long forgotten, rising up on twisted cotton to burst out shining in the sun, one by one by one. And us and me and you and me, for the world is me and you, and the world is dragged in too, first one, then both, then all, and yes we fall, of perfect wrought delight, and a cry as loud as the loudest thunder, and a sigh-strewn night. In a song-drenched land, in a time without fear, the beauty of always we experience here, and here we know and we fall. And we fall, and laugh at the stars as they fall, and track of the northern lights we find, of the way we laugh again, of the leaded window pane, of the tunnel puddled rain, of our rolling counterpane, upon the endless open lane, upon nothing wrapped in timeless nothing, but magnificence wrapped in excellence. For this is no weekend away, it is so much more than that. this is no relationship.
Okay. Not a sonnet. This is called At the Last. There will be no regrets. Although in some far future day, cloudy with severed pain, you could forget. If we unalterably somehow reap a time when we must stack our memories away, there'll be no tears to weep. A summer's sun, full of the warmth of love, contentment, bright security, the breath-warmed winds of instant, all-pervading care that now surround us with affection's whole release, will sometime have to wane. And if we go from peace to where sudden loneliness can break a heart grown tender with this familiar fashion, and if we reach the stage where there must be an end to all things good, no one will rage. Hands may part hands, eyes lose their sight, and even hearts forget. Yet if mind ever lingers over what may come, what may be lost, there will be no regrets.
Right, this is my fairly long poem for tonight, and I don't think it needs introduction. It's called Underwater. When you slip under the long, lying line of waves, strange shapes will come, silently propelled by waft of flipper or sinuous pulsing of a streamlined torso. And some maybe you knew and have forgotten. Dirt shovelled over the well has been removed. Remember the time before you broke the surface, gasped, fumbled, burrowed, and survived by stratagem. Now you return to them, learning to be like a fish. Wander and linger, here where the pearly nautilus waves unchanging, here with the ammonite and plesiosaur, and where squat fish that never see the sunlight thread through great feathery banks of frond, of hidden sting and jaw. Do you rise up towards the scattered sunlight, the crushing waves, the inconsistent wind, the seabird that will fly to a rocky island, drawing life from the depths, their crowded night? When you are playing with the waves, will you remember, here on the fine-grained shore, maybe imagine, beneath the corals and the painted fish, down with the vents, the eyeless creatures, some heavy hidden box that had an answer, where you will return. Will you return?
For my third poem for this evening, we always know when it's winter at the house because if you look up in the winter, we have Orion's belt almost directly above us, and at the moment it's approaching. And I wanted to again write a poem about a sense of space within a very confined, say, house or room or whatever. And also because there's so many things about people coming back from the dead and zombies on at the moment. This appeared about a year ago. I like the interplay of the thing. It's called Dead of Night. So There are so many hours in a day without you, so many hours and so many dreams. There are so many days in an hour without you, so many ticks and so many tocks and so many turns of so many clocks, so many hours and so many dreams, so many clocks, so many no screams. Sorry, that should have been so many o'clocks, so many no screams. The world is closing in upon the heroes of the night. There are voices in the darkness, and they're whispering with delight, and their eyes are burning embers, and when their talons catch the light, I see these are the monstruous, these are the dead of night. Bound up within the midnight, between Orion's belt, I no longer have to second-guess how long eternity felt. So I take the day and stab it, stab and stab its radiant breast, and when it's dead it rises as a ghost, and humbly joins the rest. Joins the rest within these passages of wood and brick and stone, joins the ghouls who haunt these corridors of blood and flesh and bone, joins the spectres and the shadows, the revenants and the shades, the sidereal murder victims in their the sidereal murder victims in these dusty carpet glades. And I lose track if I try to count, lose count if I try to track, just how many hours are there, and knowing I will never get them back. How can I ever fill them up? How can I ever hope to stay sane? How can I stop from aching, or the wandering the endless passages of my home, or of dropping the dream, of breaking, waking, faking, drinking, thinking? There are so many moments in a day without you, so many heartbeats and so many fears. There are so many months in a week without you, so many walls making so many halls, so many twilights of telephone calls, so many heartbeats and so many fears, so many nightmares over so many years. The world is closing in upon this hero of the night, for there are just so many hours in the days beyond today. For there are so many hours in the days beyond tonight. The Secret Lies Within was produced by me, John Trevelyan, with the support of Talliston House Gardens. It's a project where ordinary people have taken an ordinary place and transformed it and themselves into something quite extraordinary. Find out more at talliston.com.